We are looking at ID if statement tonight, and before then, we want to look at ID. If statement allows you to do something based on some certain conditions. That is, if this condition is met, do this for me. If it's not met, you can do something else. But before I delve into that, let's look at ID more. We've looked at it before. ID. So let's say I have an input. This input has a type text. It has an ID. Let's call it IMP. I have a button. When I click on this button, I want to get information about this input. I likened an ID to matric number in school. You know, with your matric number, I can fetch information about you. So when I click on this now, I want to call on a function. So let's get the function together. So when you click on this button, you are calling on this function, and you will know the codes inside this function. So what I want to do is I want to get information about this input. Give me info about this input. So I can say alert imp dot type. That is, tell me the type of this. IMP is the ID. With this ID, you can fetch anything you want about this input. So give me the type of this input. So it's going to give me text. Let's send it on the browser. Go live. Text. Next is, I may wish to get the, let's say it has a class, and the class is, let's call it my input. So if I want to get it, I can say imp.class. Although, if you use imp.class, it should give you my input, like all things being equal, it should. But the reason it's not going to give us my input is because this class is a keyword in JavaScript. The word class is a keyword in JavaScript. So in that case, whenever you're dealing with an inbuilt keyword, you use like class like this, something like class, you use class name instead. This is to replace class, my input. But the whole idea is that with this ID, you can get any information you want about this input. Let's say it has a value, and the value is, let me put my name there. So I can say imp.value. So this ID, give me the value of it. So it's going to give us the value. That's what you have there. So with the, sorry, someone wants to join. So with this ID, I can fetch any information I want. Also, I can use this ID to set anything I want about this input. For instance, maybe I want to change the type of this input from text to a button. So I can say imp.type equals to button. So immediately I click on this button, the type of this input will change from text to button. So look at the input now. When I click, notice what happens. You can see it has turned to a button also. It has turned to a button. So I can easily use that to change the type. Same way also, I can change the text inside it using the value, this value attribute. Let's say I want the value to be James. So the type will change to a button. The text, the value stands for the text inside it. The text of that input will change to James. Is it? Why am I giving you, why are we doing all of this? Because the assignment I will give you at the end of the class will require something like this. Like, we require you to know that with your ID, you can change the attributes of a particular tag, not necessarily an input, of any tag that you have. if you can use the ID to change the value of these attributes. Any questions so far? If you have a question, let me know. Okay, so in absence of question, we're going to move to today's class. I think it will be better if...
Sir.
Okay, yeah.
Hello, boss.
Yes,
hello. Sir, sir, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Sir, I want you to explain to us the function of name in an input.
Okay, name attribute.
Yes, boss.
Aye.
As an attribute.
Aye. Now, name attribute is used to identify an input. Instead of using document.getElement by ID, you can also use document.getElement by name. With that, you're able to use the name attribute. But like I said at the beginning of the class, that of this training, that I'm focusing more on simplicity, and that's why we've been using more of ID, because using the ID does not require us to use document.getElement. Another very important part of name is that whenever you are using or you are connecting your front end directly with backend, let's assume I have a form. In my form, I have an input ID, let's call it first name, name, I'll call it my first name, class, maybe F name. Let's say I have this three. Let's discuss the difference between these three. ID is to uniquely target a particular element. Class can be used to group multiple elements together. But when you submit this form, let's say you have input type submit, action. So when you submit this form, whatever the user have here, let's comment this part out. Whatever the user type inside this place, inside this input, will be sent to this file, process.php, or whatever file, whatever you put there. Whatever the user types there will be sent to this place. The problem is that when it gets there, the page, the file, does not know what that input stands for without this name attribute. I mean, I'll copy this, paste, change this to last name. Now, you know that this taye is for first name because you can see my screen. You know that this abidakon is for last name because you can see my screen. But when I click on this button to submit this form, whatever this text there will be sent to the backend, it will be sent to this file, process.php. So also, with this abidakon be sent to that same file. But the problem is that when the two texts, taye and abidakon, when they get to that file, the file does not know which of them stands for first name and which of them stands for last name. So it is this name attribute that lets the file know that whatever is inside this input stands for my first name, and whatever is inside this input stands for my last name. Without them, those texts will be sent to this process.php, but the process.php cannot differentiate this from this. It knows that some texts are sent to me, but it doesn't know what those texts stands for. Do you understand?
Yes, boss.
So if you have 10 texts, it can't differentiate them. So name attribute makes it easy for your backend file to distinguish the content of between the content of your inputs. And you can watch, I think I once sent my HTML, the link to my HTML videos maybe I'll send it again. You can watch that to learn more on these parts. Any other question? Okay, so this is what I'll do. I think it will be better if I split these videos. I mean, instead of adding the if statement as part of this, I think it may be better if I stop this now, then start another video so that they will be uploaded as two separate videos. So let's stop this.